Hey, welcome back. Today we're talking about how to study the Bible for yourself on the last few chapters of Matthew. All right. So I want to point out that one of the things you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do more to study the Bible for yourself is going to require volume. It's going to require enough that you read broadly and that you read enough scripture to start making connections. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of people, when they do their time with God, their eyes cover a certain number of verses and they're like, all right, that's good. Or they scroll Facebook until they see a Bible meme. And they're like, all right, that's my Bible for the day. And I just want to tell you, you miss so much if you don't go ahead and read enough and read volume. It's good to dive into one or two verses. It's also good to read several chapters at once because sometimes you see the overarching picture. If you're going to study a forest, you want to know about the details of the leaves and the bark, so it's good to look at them in a microscope. But you also want to study how the forest relates to itself, and so stepping back and looking at the whole forest is another vibrant, powerful, and vital way to do that. So I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that you have to be able to do both. What does that look like? Well, it means that you're going to have to know the Old Testament too, because it's literally the Bible Jesus read, right? And it's literally the Bible that the earliest Christians had. That's how they preached Jesus, was from the Old Testament, which means it's got to be there, right? It's got to be all over the place. And so there's a lot of connections that happen with the Old Testament. So when it says like the veil of the temple was torn in two after Christ's resurrection, wouldn't you think that, or after Christ's death, I mean to say, wouldn't you think that would be vital to know about? Like that veil, and what was it for, and why was it shut off from the rest? Like, that's really important, isn't it? And so there's a lot of other things that are connections that you would not see if you didn't recognize and realize the Old Testament. The communion and the Passover. How are you going to know if you don't know that stuff in the Old Testament? So I just want to commend to you the scope of it all, and that if you want to read the Bible and study the Bible successfully, you must be able to recognize things, recognize patterns across, and make connections between things that are related but are far apart. And so that's really, really vital, and important. And so I would commend to you that kind of reading. So that's today's principle is a little broader, but I think it's really vital for you to understand the way that's supposed to work. You're going to have to read the scripture and saturate yourself in it a lot. As John Wesley said, you're going to have to say, "Oh, give me that book. At any price, give me the book of God. Make me a man of one book." All right? I'll see you tomorrow.